We're here to talk about the Rebbe, which is the name of Rabbi Schneerson, and also the name of the new biography that Sam and Menachem Friedman, his colleague, have written. So just by way of introduction, the life of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Menachem Mendel Schneerson, has been enveloped in myth and mystery for many years. And for such a public figure, he seemed in many ways a very private man. So this evening we're going to talk with Sam Heilman, a sociologist who often writes about Orthodox Jewish life, author of several books, about this new biography he has co-authored.
Well, I'd like to pick up in 1941 when he came here, and we write, as he reflected on his situation, he could not help but realize that his plans to settle in Paris, become a French citizen, and live as a Jew of Hasidic background, pursuing a career in engineering, were now a shambles. Like so many of his contemporaries, he could not deny the tragic condition of the Jewish people, the horror of the Holocaust, and what it meant about God's relationship to the Jews, and the promises of redemption that his Rebbe, Yosef Yitzchak, had made so vigorously in the preceding years. Some of these concerns and doubts and even frustrations are hinted at in a letter that the 46-year-old Mendel Schneerson wrote on April 22, 1948, as the battle over Jerusalem raged, and once again he saw Jews taking heavy casualties while fighting for their survival and for the state they would hopefully declare less than 3 weeks later. Gewalt, Mendel wrote. The Messiah told the Baal Shem Tov that he would come with him when he spreads the well springs to the outside. And this task was given to us to lead. And what are we doing about it? We are suffering in exile, even though the Rebbe Shlita made many good years, amen, in his Maimar promised that the redemption would come quickly in our days. These are not the words and sentiments of a man planning a career in France, living on the left bank and looking forward to being an engineer. This Gewalt is a cry from the heart of a man whose life has been turned upside down and around, a man convinced that God is acting in history in unprecedented ways. They are the words of a man who must be feeling desperate in his anxiety, loneliness, confusion, and survivor guilt, whose prospects are unclear, looking for a way out, an answer from God.
Maybe to start, did you ever meet the Rebbe?
I did not have a personal meeting with the Rebbe. You hear me? I was present at what is called a Farbrengen when the Rebbe was alive, but in part my exposure to the Rebbe is through reading about him and materials that he wrote. And I'm not a chassid, which makes it very different from what a chassid would see when he sees the Rebbe.
I'm just curious, any memorable recollections about, were you at one Farbrengen or more? Or?
I was at several. I think the one that was most memorable was really a rather sad one. It was an occasion after the Rebbe had been struck with silence by his stroke, and it was supposed to have been the night that the Messiah would be crowned, would appear. And it was a very sad evening because he was unable to really communicate and brought out on the little veranda over the main base medrash. And as you all know by now, nothing happened. It was another one of the, unfortunately, many occasions that happened near the end of his life where a fever pitch was reached and no fulfillment of that fever pitch.
Many say he performed miracles in perception, advice, healing, etc. How should we understand this?
I'm no expert on miracles. There's no question that many people believe that he performed miracles. I'm just reading a report today of someone who came to him and asked for children and was able to have children. Of course, we know that the Rebbe and his wife also wanted children, and he couldn't get the bracha for himself. He performed miracles according to his Hasidim. There are events that happen We often hear about the events that were promising, that were fulfilled. We don't hear about the events that didn't work out. Those who believe in miracles will continue to believe in miracles. I know there are people who go to the Rebbe's grave, they ask a question, they open a book and they look for an answer. But as the Chassid Abba Refson, who's at the grave, once told me, that he's seen people opening the book, closing the book, opening it again.
The Nazis hunted down every Jew in hate. The Rebbe, in turn, searched out every Jew in love. What a difference in that approach, I'm reading now, to your approach of cynics and without any positive outlook. I choose Rabbi Sachs's speculation for the future of the Jewish people. Any comment? I thought there was a question there.
Yeah. So let me say, first of all,
it's a Jewish question.
I admire both what the Rebbe accomplished, and I certainly admire what his emissaries do. They go to places that most people would be afraid to go to, in the sense of that they couldn't be Jewish if they went to these places. It was not our goal to attack either Chabad or the Rebbe. In fact, I would argue the opposite. Our desire, or I think what we have succeeded, I hope what we have succeeded in doing, is to show that a man who was not a Rebbe when he started out, and perhaps was not even aiming to be a Rebbe, could so transform his life, could so take the experiences of his life and transform himself and the world around him. That makes his story all the more remarkable. Had he not changed, had he been this way all along, I don't think it would have been nearly as interesting or remarkable a story.
So, whatever we think, and there's certainly lots more to discuss, and we can talk about the Chabad movement next time, but I think it's important for all of us to take away that lesson of commitment, that kind of passion and commitment that I think we would all like to see a lot more of in the Jewish world everywhere. So, on that note, I want to thank you, Sam, for being with us. Thank you, all of you, and the JCC.